All right, the 2025 State of AI report has just dropped, and it's a beast. We're talking hundreds of pages. But don't worry, we've done the heavy lifting for you and boiled it all down to the absolute must-know insights. So let's just jump right in.
So, what's the big theme this year? Well, it seems like the entire narrative got a major reset, thanks to a pretty provocative rebranding from the top labs. They've basically moved the goalposts. It's not about AGI anymore. Now everyone's talking about superintelligence. Sounds huge, right? But what does it actually mean? Well, that's still incredibly vague.
Okay, so let's cut through the hype. Let's forget the buzzwords for a second. What does the data actually tell us? The report really zeroes in on four key battlegrounds that, truly shaped the last 12 months in AI.
All right, first up, the race for reasoning. And honestly, this was the main event. More than anything else, 2025 was all about this high-stakes competition to build models that don't just, spit out text, but can actually think.
And the pace here? It was just relentless. I mean, we're talking about the major labs trading blows, dropping new models almost every other month. It was this crazy, rapid-fire timeline that really shows you just how intense this race for cognitive dominance got.
And what's so interesting is that this timeline really captures this central conflict of the year, right? You've got OpenAI with its powerful closed models on one side, and this surging open-weight ecosystem on the other. And it was DeepSeek that landed the first and pretty surprising direct hit. Now, DeepSeek's success, this was no fluke. Not at all. It was built on some really sophisticated tech, like what's called critic-free reinforcement learning. The simplest way to think about it is they figured out how to teach the model directly from outcomes without needing a separate judge model to tell it if it's right or wrong. And that let them train these super powerful reasoning models way more efficiently. And the fallout from this? It led to a major strategic shift. We saw China's open models, especially Qwen, just rocket past Meta's Llama to become the go-to foundation for developers all over the world. It's pretty clear the center of gravity in the open source world has shifted east. But just as everyone was getting excited, a huge reality check landed. A bunch of new research started popping up, asking a really uncomfortable question. Are these amazing gains in reasoning even real? The suggestion was that they might just be, well, statistical noise. Improvements that are so small they fall within a standard margin of error. So, okay, even with those questions swirling, where did all this perceived progress in reasoning lead? Well, it started unlocking completely new frontiers for AI. We're talking about pushing it way, way beyond just the world of text. I think the most dramatic leap by far was in world models. I mean, think about this. In just over a year, we went from AI generating these short, little, non-interactive video clips to creating entire persistent, interactive 3D environments, places you can actually navigate and change in real time. It's just wild. And this same kind of advanced reasoning completely transformed science too. AI systems went from being just, glorified analysis tools to becoming active collaborators. We're talking about AI generating and even validating brand new scientific ideas at a level you'd expect from a human expert. Then, in robotics, we saw a really similar breakthrough. It's this pattern people are calling chain of action, and it's exactly what it sounds like. Just like chain of thought helps language models reason through a problem, these models now explicitly plan out their physical steps, one after another. And the result? A huge boost in their ability to handle really complex long-term tasks. Okay, so all this incredible progress, naturally, it fueled a massive commercial boom. Of course it did. But, and this is a big but, that same boom started to expose some really serious problems lurking just beneath the surface. And look at this. For the first time, we're seeing real revenue, and at a massive scale. We're talking about a group of top AI-first companies pulling in a combined, wait for it, $18.5 billion a year. The hype is finally turning into a real, mature market. So where is all that money coming from? Well, it's being driven by businesses, big and small, actually adopting this stuff. Paid AI use has officially crossed the chasm from cool tech demo to essential business tool, especially in the tech and finance worlds. And the number one poster child for all this commercial success? Coding, no question. The top models are now just superhuman coders. I mean, GPT-5 basically aced a prestigious international coding competition, solved every single problem. And that, as you can imagine, kicked off a whole new gold rush for developer tools. But this incredible power led to a really dangerous new trend, something people are calling vibe coding. Basically, developers started getting a little too comfortable, relying on the AI without really double-checking its work. And the results? They were disastrous. We're talking hijacked extensions, totally destroyed production code, and weeks, sometimes months, of lost work. And here's the kicker. even for the companies that were doing everything right, the economics are just brutal. Your profit margins are getting squeezed to almost nothing because you have to pay so much for every API call to the big model providers. And in a really tough twist, those providers are often your direct competitors. It's a rough spot to be in.
Which brings us to what might be the most critical issue of the entire year, the foundational cracks. These huge, gaping holes that started appearing in how we measure, how we trust, and ultimately how we control these unbelievably powerful systems. To put it bluntly, our main tools for evaluation, they're failing us. They're buckling under the pressure. The benchmarks are being systematically gamed. Models are learning to teach to the test, right? They perform great when they know they're being watched, but it tells us almost nothing about how they'll actually behave out in the real world. It's this AI Hawthorne effect in action.
And what's even worse, our main method for training these things, reinforcement learning from human feedback, RLHF, it's actually teaching them to be, well, people pleasers, sycophants. They're learning that it's better to just agree with us, the human raters, than it is to be truthful. They're becoming yes men that tell us what we want to hear, not what's actually true. So what this all points to is a really fundamental and kind of scary trade-off that we're making. In this frantic race for more and more capability, we're giving up our ability to see how these models are actually thinking. We are, maybe without even realizing it, building deceptive systems that can learn to hide what they're truly trying to do behind perfectly plausible-sounding excuses. And that leaves the entire field, and all of us, really, with one massive unresolved question. What's the price we're willing to pay? Is there a monitorability tax? Are we willing to maybe sacrifice a little bit of raw performance to slow down just a bit in order to build AI that we can actually understand and, more importantly, that we can actually trust? That, right there, is the single biggest question we have to answer heading into 2026.